real talk, just rap pack. Besides that, nobody I trust.
Back again like I never left. Young Sinatra, that's to the death. We turned up till we go deaf.
Right guys, so today's video, we are changing the brake pads on the Leon, mainly because I went to tracks, obviously the video before this, and I drove all the way there, all the way back, and 3 hours on the way back, absolutely fine, car drove lovely, and then suddenly I hit about South Moulton, which is about an hour away from where I live, and suddenly I just heard a noise, and I figured out I'd basically run out of brake pad. So my rear brakes, I don't know which side it is yet, but I guess we'll probably find out. I just run out of brake pad. So today we're going to change the brake pads. I'm going to do like a little how-to and hopefully just smash through this before we get stuck. So let's get into this. Right, so the first thing we need to do is jack the car up. No, the first thing we need to do is crack all the bolts. I'm hoping it's just one side, but I guess we'll find out. Now we need to jack the car up. Something worth noting is that you also need to make sure the handbrake's off, because else you won't be able to actually take the caliper off. Something I remembered after I jacked the car up. Ideally you would like to do this on the flat, so the car can't go anywhere, but needs must. Wheel off. Right, next thing, if I'm not mistaken, I need to take off the slider bolts here, which are, I think Dad said 15s, so let's grab a 15. 13, okay. Well, answers that. Oh no, I need a spanner to hold it. I can see it just spinning. Ah, that's not ideal. Okay. Right, I haven't got a bloody spanner. No. Right guys, as you've seen from the last clip, you need a spanner. Basically, you just need I think it's a 13 or a 15mm spanner. But what I'm going to do, because I can't actually do it, or my dad's going to come around later and we're going to have to do it in the dark, but I'm going to talk you through what to do, and if I can get any clips later on of me and him doing it in the dark, I'll put them on, I'll overlay them while I'm talking about it. But let's talk you through how to change your brake pads. Sorry guys. So, as I said, once the wheel's off, the first thing you want to do is get this screw there on the back of the caliper. As you can see, oh, stop focusing. There it is. So that one there, so that is a 13mm, but you also need to hold that one next to it. So yeah, right there. So that one there spins while that one spins. So you have to hold this one while loosening that, so you can take it out. And it's the same underneath. If I can get a shot of it. One there. So those two there, the exact same. So once those two are undone, the caliper will basically fall off. And you'll have those bolts out. Once you've taken those bolts out, it's a case of just sliding out the pads either side. Right guys, what I forgot to mention is how to remove the disc, which is just a multi-piece torque screw. And then as you can see, my dad's just hitting it with a hammer, because as most of them do, they get rusted on. And then once you've done that, it'll just pop off. Right, before this next clip starts, I just want to talk quickly, basically, on why we're actually taking the discs off. Because obviously all I explained at the start of the video was that we were taking the pads out because I'd run out of pad. The following day, my dad took the brakes apart to have a look at them and take the discs out, take the pads out, just to have a look how bad they were. We figured out that both my rear calipers had seized on, which is why I'd run out of pad. Basically, my driver's side brake caliper had seized on and gone through all the pad straight to the metal, which is why in these clips you can see like one of the pads is completely out of pad. It's because it was just forced onto the disc constantly for 200 odd miles in this round trip, and it had just completely run out of pad. So what we're about to do is change the brake discs, the brake pads and the calipers, because they'd all been absolutely shot, just because of the caliper seizing on, forcing the pad onto the disc for a long period of time, getting rid of all the pad, then onto the disc. So they're all just absolutely shot, absolutely gone. So Dad said he'd replace all of them for me, bless him. So yeah, these are just clips of him, thankfully, bleeding the brakes, fitting the discs, fitting the pads, all for me while I was at work. Because obviously I need the car for work, so I was using Jade's car to get to work. But yeah, this is why we're doing a full disc, pad and caliper change rather than just changing the pads, is that they were all basically shot. Right, now that's all over and done with, basically what we're now down to is Dad is removing the caliper off the hangers, all of the hoses off the back of this caliper and putting it onto the new caliper, just so everything all wires up and is plumbed in correctly. Then we'll put the new caliper back on the original sliders, plug in the hoses back, make sure the brakes are bled, put in some extra brake fluid to top it all up, and then it should be ready to go.
And the next thing we need to do, or what Dad is doing for me, is cleaning up all the surface areas of the rust that's probably built up over the years of driving. So it's got a very good clean contact patch for the brand new discs and pads to sit on. We're putting some copper grease on just so next time we have to change the disc, that they're not welded on like the last ones were. As you saw, obviously, he hit it with a hammer many a time just to get it off. So yeah, that's why he's putting some copper grease on, just so it slides on nicely and won't create a sort of rust vacuum. And yeah, so just putting in the bolt, tighten it up, and then it will just zap it up, and then it will probably do an extra bit of tightening. That's the torque bit you need. Placing in the pads, obviously they're not going to be stuck in rust anymore, so they should slide in nice and easy as they do. The caliper will just be placed over, and then a top bolt will be put in just to wind it in. Yeah, the top bolt's put in just to hold the caliper nicely in place so we can put the bottom one in, and then it'll be tightened both up with a 13mm on the outside and a 15mm holding on the inside. The next thing we need to do is spray the handbrake with some grease or some whatever that spray is. It says it on the screen, luckily, thank God. Yeah, so we just spray that in the handbrake to make sure it's all loose, put it through, connect it back up to the caliper just so the handbrake works. And then the next thing we need to do is bleed the brake. So we have a hose on the bleed nipple. You then loosen it a little bit, press the brake pedal to let brake fluid through, then tighten it again to not let any air out, loosen it, and then you just go over and over and over again. So hopefully, after saying all that, we did get some shots later on. I am changing the brake pads of the car due to a sort of incident that happened coming back from tracks. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.